some do this, something like that. But choice, the decision, is actually when you choose A, you should also do this.
Right.
The word decision, it comes from Caesare. You know Caesarean section? Caesare?
Yeah.
Is there another pen also? Swami? Very good.
It seems this means scissors, cutting. So when you choose something, you choose one, but also cut the others. I choose to get up at 4 a.m. Very good. But why do we fail? Because 5 a.m., 6 a.m. are also available. Now when the trouble comes, you get up in the morning and it's cold and you don't want to get up out of the comforter and you say, yeah, I can switch off the alarm, snooze button or something. And then that option is there. The option is there, you take it out. The easier option, I'll complete it. So easier option is always available. If you want to, if you are determined to take a course of action, if you are really interested, then other options must be cut out. There is an English term, burn the bridges. So soldiers have gone on the other side to fight the enemy. Enemy is fighting furiously. Now a bridge is there, easy way to escape. Burn the bridges or burn the boat. There is no way back. You have to fight or die. Now in Belur Math, we get up at 3:40 in the morning. How? We all, I remember when I first came as a brahmachari, one of the Swamis told me, my first day, so tomorrow onwards you have to get up early. I said, no problem, Swami. In my hostel I was I used to get up really early. I used to get up at 7:30. That's really early compared to other kids in the hostel. They would get up at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Somehow go to the class. I used to get up at 7:30. The Swami laughed and he said, forget that 7:30. That ashram where I joined, you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. 4:30, my God. 4:30 is really early. But in Belur Math, there's no option because they are 3:40. And 3:40, these two are not possible because there will be a guy who will come, a monk, whose duty is to ring a bell near here. Very politely, he'll go on ringing until you get up. And it's not difficult. Us, we're college kids, but not difficult at all. When everybody is doing it, it actually becomes after some time difficult not to do it. How can you remain in the bed because in the same room, others have got up and washed their faces, gone for meditation? How can you remain in the room there like that? You cannot. So options are cut out. Determination and vairagya. This is vairagya. You cut out the other options. It's one way of looking at vairagya. Another thing I remember, there is a brilliant gentleman, Srinivas Venkatram. He is the head of a consulting firm in Mumbai, Illumin Industries. It's a management consultancy. Brilliant guy, IIT, IIM, then did management studies in London. His idea is he takes these Vedantic paradigms and tries to develop protocols for them to implement it in organizations like Mumbai police, schools, corporations, how he can make them perform better, change the culture. So very interesting. It's such a sharp idea. He combines these ideals with a very practical vision of how to do it in life. Anyhow, Swami Vivekananda had said the ideals of the nation of India are renunciation and service. Tyag or seva, renunciation and service. If you tell a modern Indian kid today, your ideal is renunciation and service, not at all. Why should I renounce? I am going to be an engineer and an MBA and then I am going to go to Indianapolis and work there for what? Allegiance. Yes, I'll go work there. Why should I renounce? It's right, why should you renounce? It's not an inspiring thing. And service, why should I serve anybody? So it's not inspiring. But see how he reframed this Srinivas Venkatram. Just in this way, he reframed the whole thing. He said, instead of using renunciation and service, he said, what is renunciation? What is Tyaga? He said it is an overwhelming commitment to a noble purpose in life. Exactly this. commitment to one purpose in life automatically means renunciation of other things. You cannot be overwhelmingly committed to one thing and then spend the rest of your time partying and doing all sorts of nonsense. No, you cannot. It will consume your time. It will consume your energy, your money, your effort, everything. That one thing will consume it. And it's an overwhelming commitment to a noble purpose in life. That is renunciation. Wonderful. Very inspiring in the language if you put it that way. Many young people, they like it. What is seva service? It is a commitment to the evolutionary potential of all beings. Everybody can be better than what they are, physically, emotionally, morally, spiritually. Who does not want to do that? Everybody wants to. Yes, we want to help people. Same thing, reframing. He calls it reframing. Anyway. Yes.
Swamiji Pranam, thank you for coming here, and it's a dream come true. So we recently completed 20th anniversary of our Hindu Heritage Family Camp. We've been doing for 20 years, and the theme for this year was from Kathopanishad, Prapya Varan Nibodhita. And there is a Ratha Kalpana. So can you just give a light on the Ratha Kalpana?
Yeah. There's a famous Prapya Varan Nibodhata. It is there in Kathopanishad that Swami Vivekananda's famous arise, awake and stop not till the goal is reached. He has adapted it from this. The original statement is Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. Uttishtata, awake. Jagrata. Uttishtata is arise, and then Jagrata is awake. Prapya Varan Nibodhata, go to those wise teachers, Vara means the excellent teachers, and be enlightened. So that's not as catchy as arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. So Vivekananda adapted it from there. But that's Vedanta. That's Upanishad means Vedanta. And if you see Shankaracharya's commentary on that, arise, awake. Arise from what? Anadi Maya Suktaha. Sleeping in the beginningless sleep of Maya. From there arise. Who? You Jiva. You sentient being. Asleep to the glory of your real nature. Since beginningless time. Arise. And why? Because of suffering is there. That's why it should arise. And then awake. Awake into what? Jagrata. Into your nature as Satchidananda Brahma. Shankaracharya gives a beautiful commentary there. How? Go to the teacher. That means the Upanishad and the teacher of Vedanta, and learn from them this Vidya. So that is the meaning of Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varan Nibodhata. Nibodhata literally means be enlightened. And then the Ratha Kalpana is an imagery is used to describe your body-mind complex and show what you really are. So compare this body and mind, in the Kathopanishad it's there, compare this body and mind to a chariot, SUV, like that. It's an old imagery. I think even in Greek philosophy it's there, the chariot imagery. So the 5 horses are so chariot is a very powerful chariot, it's in 5 horsepower. So 5 horses are the 5 senses, and the road, the lanes they run on are the objects of the senses. Eyes see forms, ears hear sound, tongue tastes, nose fragrance, skin touch. So 5 senses, 5 the lanes on which they are running, and the reins are the mind. The mind is the reins, and the driver is not you. It's the intellect. Buddhi is the driver. Buddhim tu sarathim vritti. Sarathi means the driver is the buddhi. And then who are you? You are the passenger. You are only the passenger, the onlooker, the witness, the consciousness, the awareness. So awareness shines, and in that shines the buddhi, which takes decisions. Buddhi has the mind to execute through thoughts, determination, sankalpa. And the mind is connected to the senses. The senses are connected to the body and the world. Now it says that if the senses are well trained, level 1. Mind is under control and the buddhi is well informed. So advana param yati. That means the passenger reaches the goal, the end of the road. If the horses are naughty, mischievous, or if the rein is loose. Imagine you are driving an SUV, powerful vehicle, very nice, expensive, powerful engine, but the wheel is crazy. You are doing this, the vehicle goes that way. Wheel is not connected really to the engine, and you crash. So, if the senses are well trained, or if the horses are not well trained, then the crash is inevitable. If the reins, that means the mind is not disciplined, then if mind is not controlled, crash is inevitable. And if the driver is drunk, or DUI, driving under influence, driver is drunk, that means the buddhi is ill-informed, wrong decision, then also crash is inevitable. You will not reach the goal. And there, of course, goal is Brahma Jnana, enlightenment and all of that. But there he does not make such a fuss about it. Think about any goal in life, any purpose in life. I want to become a millionaire, I want to get a PhD, I want to become a successful politician. Whatever your goal in life, none of it is achievable if these three levels of training are not there. Sensory level, mental level, intellectual level. Mental level includes emotional training also. These three things must be in alignment with the goals of the passenger. Otherwise, the whole chariot is going to come to a crash, and it's going to crash. So that's the chariot imagery. There is a psychologist in, where is he? He's quite famous these days, Jonathan Haidt, Haidt. I think he's somewhere in the New York area. He wrote a book quite some time ago called The Happiness Hypothesis. Happiness Hypothesis. It sounds like some cheap self-help book, but no, it's a pretty deep work actually. There he uses, instead of a chariot example, he uses elephant example. He says, so many books are available, self-help. We're starting with Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence people, how to get confidence, how to become a great public speaker, how to earn $1 million, what not, any endless number of promises. And lot of such books are available nowadays. Many of them have good advice. Especially these days, many fine books have been published. But his question is, in spite of all of this, why our life is not improving? That self-help section is one of the biggest sections in Barnes and Noble. If that was actually delivered what it promised, then our life would be different. So many people read those things. Are they really becoming peaceful, loving, popular, rich, healthy? Now healthy means nowadays skinny. Are they becoming? No. Why? Why? Jonathan Haidt asked the question, why? He says, why? Not because the advice there is wrong. He says, why is because he uses the example of the elephant and the rider of the elephant. Mahout, you know what a mahout is? The one who controls the elephant. The mahout can control the elephant only if the elephant agrees. Because the elephant is actually physically much stronger than the mahout. So mahout wants to go this way and gives the command. And the elephant moves this way, fine. If the elephant wants to go there and eat a banana, mahout cannot stop. The elephant is much more powerful. Elephant is like our body, mind also. Mahout is like the intellect. Now it's the intellect who is persuaded by books and talks and seminars and TED Talks. Intellect gets excited. Wow, wonderful idea, I will do this. Says the virtue of getting up early. And Swami said 3:40 in the monastery they wake up. Yeah, very good idea. If not 3:40, 4 o'clock I will get up. From tomorrow onwards, get up at 4 o'clock, do yoga, read philosophy or whatever it is, and your life will be changed. Is it true? Yes, it will be changed if you do it. But why? Why is it difficult? Because when you are going to get up in the morning tomorrow, at 4 o'clock in the morning, it is very cold, the alarm beeps. Now, it's not that the intellect has to get out of bed, the body has to get out of bed. The body says, did you ask me? Did you consult me? You read a book and you intellect, you become excited about it. But you don't have to get out of bed. You don't have to feel cold. I have to get out of bed. My body says, I have to struggle out of bed and I feel cold. I am not interested in your self-improvement program. I want to lie under the comforter. Like the elephant. The mahout cannot force the elephant to do what he wants. Elephant is guided by its own instincts. The body is guided by its own habits. That's why he goes on to say most of our self-improvement programs fail. Jonathan Haidt in that book. He gives that elephant and mount paradigm. Then what is the solution? Solution, what does the elephant listen to? What does the elephant listen to? Cajoling, but not that intellectual type of cajoling. She has brought up kids, so she knows. You have to nag them endlessly till they give up in exasperation. No. The elephant responds to training. The elephant is not interested in your seminar, in your pep talk or nothing like that. Elephant responds to training and habit. Elephant is a creature of habit. Similarly, the body is a creature of habit. So repetition is necessary. Not nice arguments and PowerPoint presentation. Body is not persuaded by that. But repetition. What you repeat, the body sort of gets hardwired and the body becomes comfortable doing that. So training, there's the importance of training. That's why knowledge in itself is not enough. Knowledge plus training. There's an ancient saying, let's end with that. We have already come to the end of so much time. There's an ancient saying, I found it in the Yoga Sutras. It's older than the Yoga Sutras. Sankhya samam jnanam nasti, yoga samam balam nasti. There is no knowledge like Sankhya, there is no power like yoga. Sankhya means this Advaitic idea, I am not the body, not the mind, I am Atma, Chidananda, Rupa, Shivoham, Prakriti Purusha, the separation. This is a stunning idea. It saves you from the problems of the world. Sankhya samam jnanam nasti, there is no knowledge like Sankhya. But yoga samam balam nasti, there is no power like yoga. Yoga is the training. To express that knowledge of Sankhya in your day-to-day life, you need to train the body and mind. Otherwise, you will know something at the intellectual level, but expressing it in day-to-day life will be difficult. That's why Vivekananda said, religion is the manifestation of the divinity already within us. He did not say knowledge of the divinity already within us. Manifestation means a manifestation in thought, word and deed. I should be able to live it. It should be reflected in my action, in my speech, in my thinking, not just in my knowledge. Same thing. Why sadhana chatushtaya? We're back to the same thing. Fourfold qualification. Why? Because what you read in Vedanta, to practice it in life, you need these fourfold qualifications. If I do not have this fourfold qualification, if I'm too much involved with the world, if I react too fast to the world, no titiksha, if I am powerfully attracted by certain things in the world, then all the Vedantic ideas, Chidananda, Rupa, Shiva, more renado. That will happen. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanam. Introduction?
This is a song on Mother Sharada, composed by Dr. Vijaya Bharati. She lives in Bangalore. And you will see why I'm attracted to her. Sharade, Shubhade, Varade, Sarvamandite, Shri Sharade.
Yes, right. I noticed that.
We have 5 more minutes, Swamiji.
Yes.
I wanted
Question?
to, yes, I have a question. In one of your talks you have explained very nicely, but my son keeps asking the same question, that we don't know our previous lives. So how do we face the inequalities of this life sometimes when we see inequality or injustice, or how do we reconcile that? Because we can't see the past or the...
You don't have to worry about the past. You deal with the present life with common sense.
Okay.
Swami Vivekananda, somebody was saying that there are so many people suffering from famine in your province. Why don't you go and help them? Oh, they are because वो तो उनका कर्म है. It's their karma. And Swami Vivekananda said that shame on you. If it's their karma to suffer, your karma is to help. So don't use the law of karma in a fatalistic way, right? And it is not true that we really do not know our past. You know, we think what was in the past, how do I know? Don't worry about that. One good way of knowing our past is to look at our present. I get a general idea about what I was in the past when I look at my tendencies, my surroundings, my general condition of life. I get an idea. Yes, that something like that must have been there.
Coming back to the question, Swamiji, that I am from Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
So that Vairagya, the meaning in Tamil Nadu is determination.
Resolution, yes, determination.
Whereas what I feel is, when you are going to adopt Vairagya, that is Ragadvesha, that Vairagya when you are going to adopt, for that determination is required. Whereas since it's not a Tamil word, it is from Sanskrit.
Yes.
Whereas the people have left the direct meaning instead of that effort that is required that they have written it. That's what I feel.
Practical purpose.
So, if you are not having a determination, there is no way of coming out of Raga.
Yes, Raga Dvesha.
Maybe that is
Yes, what I tried to show here was that in order to have one-pointed resolution for something, one must have Vairagya, one must give up the other alternatives. Another way what you are saying is correct. That Vairagya basically is coming out of your Raga Dvesha. And that requires determination. Without determination, you will not come out of it.
But the metaphor that we used, getting up at 4 a.m. eliminates the possibility of 5 and 6, but 4 comes first. You've already accepted it. At that point, there is no worry about the 5 and 6 a.m.
No, when you say when you're getting up at 4, see practically what happens is, if it is possible, then I will get up at 5 o'clock. If it's possible, I'll get up at 6. There are no consequences attached to it. Then the mind will be weak and will say that yes, let me get up, I'll wait for you. But if there's no possibility, the fellow will ring a bell, light will be put on and everybody else will go for meditation. It is cut out, that possibility. The price is too high to pay if you're going to sleep there. You can't even sleep there. Yes, I'll come down.
Do you have time for a quick two-part?
Yeah, we have got time.
Okay. So, in the beginning you're talking about faith, and we always seem to put like the square peg of Varanasi-based religions to a circle peg of Jerusalem-based religions. I'm curious to see if you find any parallels in the Vedanta way of other indigenous thought processes like Native Americans, of how, because they're more agrarian societies than hunter-gatherer societies, if they had any parallels of the Vedanta perspective. Because if you take out the Vatican's approach of control in the last 2,000 years, that would take away a lot of that Catholicism ways of thinking. My second part of the question is, we're now in like a post-industrial age where we're supposed to have those machines so it makes our life easier. Then we had all these modern day problems. As we now approach to a autonomous age, in theory, we're supposed to have more time for Vedanta. Do you think that we could have more time in that autonomous age?
So the first one is, see, from a Vedantic perspective, when you look at the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, from a Vedantic perspective, it's very clear what they are. They all are that first paradigm, a faith-based approach. God exists, and have faith in God, surrender to God, worship God. That's the essence of the teaching, whether it's Judaism or Christianity or Islam. I know, I smile when the people say there's tremendous diversity, you know, there are hundreds and hundreds of churches in USA. But from a Vedantic perspective or Hindu perspective, if you look at those churches, the differences are very minute. Little change in doctrine here and there, and based on that, the other guy across the, we are going to heaven and the guy across the street is going to hell. On the little changes. It's not so much of a difference. Today I was saying to somebody that when I go into the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Manhattan and see the entire history of the Western world is basically one story only, the story of Christ. Before that, Greek art was there. But after the last 2000 years, if you see, until the coming of modern art, in the last 200 years or so, 100 years or so, until that, the whole thing was dominated by the story of Christ. That's painting, that's your sculpture, that's on your on the vase and on the filigree work. All of that is basically around that. There's one story which is being, but the tremendous diversity which you see in the Indian approaches. So many stories. Today is one story, Krishna. But Rama's story is a different story. And the Buddha story is a different story. Each avatar has its own. Each Purana of the 18 Puranas is equal to the entire, each one separately is equal or larger than the entire purpose of the Old Testament. So, the tremendous diversity you see in India. That's why I say the Eastern religions are in a better position to understand the Abrahamic religions. I once was saying that this is how we look at it when I was talking to a rabbi from Jerusalem who was visiting Belur Math. I was showing him around. And I said, I didn't want to sound patronizing, but this is our way of looking at it. He says, no, you could be right. From a superior, more sophisticated vantage point, a more ancient vantage point, you could probably understand my religion better than I understand it. He was honest about it. He's very interested in his religion. It's quite possible. From a higher point of view, you get a better idea of what's going on there. But you're right. There are elements there which are not there in Eastern religion. One of them being what Rome brought to the mix. You will see something, especially in American churches here, it comes from Europe. The vast organization, the meticulous organization, it's like an army or like a bureaucracy. Hierarchy, organization, money, deployment of resources, bringing entire society in line with your... so that you don't see in Indian religions. It's much more organic. I mean, Buddhism at one time was more organized, but sort of spread out again to the masses. So it's more based in what the family does at home, rather than... See, the priest in the Hindu community does not have any authority over you. You may believe, you may not believe. Cannot sanction anything against you, cannot do anything to you. This plays a part in your life if you want him to play a part. Cannot determine what you believe, and depending on what you believe, cannot take action against you or something like that. Absolutely not. In Hinduism, it's what you make of it. Nobody has any authority to impose anything on you. So that is peculiarly Indian. This is peculiarly the contribution of Rome, I think. Where does it come from? It does not come in the original Christianity of Christ. The church and its hierarchy and its systems, they're all borrowed from Roman administration. You can clearly see it even in the titles of the Catholic Church. And the Protestant churches are all revolts against the Catholic Church, but they carry the same DNA. They carry the same DNA. So, I often say Christianity is like a battlefield between Athens and Rome. Athens and Jerusalem. There is a Greek influence on it through Rome, and there is of course the original source from Jerusalem, from Jesus and the apostles. That thing you don't see. That thing you see a lot in Christianity and in Islam later on, but you don't see in Indian religions. That was your first question.
The second was at autonomous age. We should, by definition, have more time.
We should have more time.
Rather than the problems of the current.
There's a little story about this autonomous age, the computer age. When the first computer was installed in our Advaita ashram in Calcutta, Swami Gambhirananda ji, who was the vice president or general secretary at that time, was asked to come and inaugurate the first machine. Nowadays people will find it funny. I think it was before the 286 machine or something like that. So it was installed. That was our publication center. For DTP work it was installed. So the Swami came and asked, what is this for? Said, oh Swami, when this is active, our brothers will get much more, it will do so much work, our brothers will get much more time for meditation. The Swami was not impressed. He said, oh, is that so? Finally he inaugurated. And it turned out he was right. 10 years later, the brothers have less time for meditation, or doing computer only. What the computer age has got is, I used to read little books when I was a kid, old books written in the 60s and 50s, the world of the future. So few things they would say. Some of them are laughable today. There will be a phone on which you can see the other person. Video phone. Obviously you don't know, in the old books there used to be the world of the future. Another thing they would show is car will fly in the sky. Another thing they would show is that really everybody will get a lot of leisure, all machines. Machines, they did not have quite the idea of internet, they had like robots doing all the work and all of that. But what has happened is the computers promised to do that. You'll have more leisure for cultural activities, higher culture, civilization activities. Let computers do all that. But what has happened is the computers are only enabling us to do much more work than we were able to do earlier. That's all. So we are still doing work, we are doing more work than we could do earlier. Not that we are less busy. I'm sure actually people are busier now. You just have to go to Manhattan. There's a slogan I saw. City that never sleeps. It says, city that never sleeps. When nobody sleeps but everybody dreams. Now, will it give us more time for Advaita Vedanta? I don't know. I don't know really. There are advantages. Nowadays we are connected. All these things are easily available to us. They were not so easily available earlier. They're easily available to us. But we have less time, less inclination.
One has to seek for it.
Mm-hmm.
One has to seek for it.
Yes, but what will make you seek? That's what I'm thinking. The old idea is ultimately suffering makes you seek it. Your unhappiness, you're pushed to look for a solution. And that solution is not in this world.
Could it be from our previous vasana that we have that intuitive
True,
desire?
we have some are born with more than others. That's because we have worked on it for lifetimes.
Yes.
That is true. One could be, Swami Vivekananda said Vedanta is the religion for the future. Because as education spreads, rationality spreads, it will be the only kind of religion acceptable to the rational mind. By which he does not mean only Advaita Vedanta. Something like Buddhism. You see the popularity of Buddhism now. Today itself somebody was asking what is the secret of their success. One is, it's not a faith-based model. They are not asking you to believe in God. So people who are upset with Christianity or Islam or something, they are looking for a more rational approach to life, a more God-free approach. Buddhism seems to offer that. Another is psychological methods of meditation, which you can do without any kind of faith commitment. So mindfulness is very neutral. You can practice it without believing in anything. Another is it's a loose, non-authoritarian structure. Another is it's peaceful. Ken Wilber said in 21st century religion must take into cognizance three things. Why young people are not attracted to religion. One is they must stop fighting. It's a very nasty feature of religion that this inter-religious hatred and war and violence. This turns off many people against it, especially in the West. Second is, they must stop fighting against science. If there is anything in your religion which is against mainstream science, which is already established without any doubt, it's only silly to keep on opposing it. That's another great advantage that Vedanta has. Yoga, Vedanta, Buddhism, they have a great advantage there. And the third one is modern values. There should be no gender bias, the dignity of the individual, many things which are not found in the older, because religions are old structures, they have a lot of ancient baggage. So those things must be reformed. What are regarded as values in advanced societies must be accepted by religion also. Religion should not be behind those values.
If we don't accept modern day problems, I demand someone to get a cure for whatever sickness. If there's a drought, I demand that you put a pipeline. See, that's why in agrarian societies, if a drought happens, they would accept it.
Yes.
And they'd move on. If the lion ate my dad, I would accept it.
Yes.
Now I will not accept it.
Right.
You have to do something for me.
Right.
Make it have to change.
Do something for me, or I will do something.
Or
autonomous. Yeah, that's true. So that's Vivekananda was always for the combination of the East and the West. He said there is a Western ideal and there is an Eastern ideal. Both are necessary for human development in the future. And so he always wanted that. What you are saying, it struck me powerfully. Many years ago, I read an article by a Western woman who became a Buddhist nun and went to, I think, Sikkim or somewhere, a Buddhist monastery. And she writes how she saw the children were illiterate, the little children, and they were sick also. There was lack of medicine and hygiene. So she started a dispensary and a school for children. This Buddhist nun, who is a white American woman, who said, as a practice of my Buddhist compassion, I must do this. I was thinking, Buddhists have been in that area for 2,500 years. They've all been practicing compassion. Are they hypocrites? No. It never occurred to them that I'm generating compassionate states of mind internally, but does it have to be reflected in society? That didn't occur for 25 centuries.
Because they haven't lived that society. They are only in the Buddhist environment.
No,
Whereas this white lady,
No, but I'm saying, it's their children who are sick. It's their children who need
they
education.
haven't,
So it's sort of, world will be like this. I must generate compassionate states of mind. It will help me in my meditation and become enlightened. That's good. That's perfectly all right. And without that, see, the opposite is also no good. Thich Nhat Hanh, who miracle of mindfulness, who really popularized mindfulness in the West, Vietnamese monk. He's dying now, I think. He's back in
who
Vietnam.
is he? Old
Take-
Path White Clouds.
Yes.
He's in
That's
French.
a phenomenal book.
But his main book is Miracle of Mindfulness,
Yeah,
first
I
one.
have that too.
That's
Yeah,
the classic.
Miracle of Mindfulness.
Yes. So he writes, when he first came to the West, Europe, at that time this Greenpeace movement was protesting against nuclear weapons in medium range missiles and all in Europe. And he's found that the peace activists, he writes, I was surprised to see how angry the peace activists are. You think naturally, we're indignant for a right cause, we are angry against the government, angry against this and angry against that. But he says they didn't see the contradiction in that.
Yeah.
How can you be so disturbed and angry and yet want to bring about peace? You don't have peace right there in yourself. So you see the two contrasts. The Buddhists in India who did not see the squalor around them and did not see how compassion relates to the squalor. And the Buddhist in Europe who sees the contradiction in angry peacemakers. The Europeans don't see it. They say, of course you should be angry. No, you shouldn't be.
Practice what you preach.
So this synthesis is a good question. Are we ready to eat?
Yes.
1 minute? One more question. Yes, 1 minute.
Arizona State, you mentioned about mindfulness. Most of us will be, I'm not in the position. Caregivers, mindfulness. Can you throw a few seconds because we all will be needing it in long run.
Yes, so it's a new thing that they are propounding. Very good. That they're paying attention to your lived experience, not living in your head all the time. Actually experiencing the body, they anchor themselves in the breath. As you're breathing in, you're aware that you're breathing in. As you're breathing out, you're aware you're breathing out. The simple act of awareness, bringing your awareness to the body, to the mind, to the breath, to other people. Otherwise, most people here in the West, and now in India also, they keep living in their head. Not that living in the head, not that they're all Einsteins. Living in the head means thinking, suffering, ruminating over something, negative patterns of thought going on and on and on. That is very damaging. So mindfulness is an antidote to that. I remember this lady, she wrote to me that I want to speak with you on Skype. Now generally I avoid such things because there are too many people there, I can't handle that. So I said, we'll see later. Then she said, no, I am dying. I'll die in a few days. I need to speak to you. So of course I said, yes, we'll speak. Then I spoke with her. She was suffering from terminal cancer. She was in a hospice somewhere in Canada. She had studied and practiced Buddhism and Hinduism, Vedanta also. She had some questions. But as time went by, we talked once in a while every few days. She was visibly weakening. But I noticed how spirituality really helps at the final moment of one's life. She was so calm and dignified and relaxed. I said, I hope when my time comes, I'll be as relaxed, as calm as you. And she laughed and she said, I'm sure you will be, Swami. Then one day there was silence. I tried a few times, no reply. And then her niece called, who was a caregiver. She said, day before yesterday, she passed away. And the room was like a meditation room. When she passed away, it was so calm and quiet. We were all sitting quietly and she passed away. This is the effect of spirituality. I have seen it too many times to deny that it. Some people say, oh, this lectures, talks, what use does it have? No? It gives you peace while you are living, it gives you peace and strength to when one is passing away. That much is demonstrated. Ready?